podcast with Nick Meyer and Willie J. This is the Week 14 show, home stretch. We're going to talk about hot takes, picks, some of the hype players for the last free agency periods, bunch of good stuff. And if you're headed towards the playoffs, which I assume most people who still listen at this time are headed towards the playoffs, because otherwise I think a lot of people check out.
Yes.
You're going to want to hear some of it because there are a lot of hype players, and there's, the excitement sometimes outweighs the good. Real quick, I'm going to segue here away from fantasy football, which is a great idea for a fantasy football show, and talk to you about. Have you heard about this Pokemon card gambling?
Maybe. Is it like an app thing, or is it like a
So GameStop is releasing these power packs, right? And you can pay, I think it's like up to $2,500 for a single card that you don't know what you're getting. You just like put the money in, and then it gives you a random card after this like cool animation, and you hope it's better than what you paid for. And you can cash out immediately after you get this card. So it's just a slot machine.
what, 2,500? Is that the minimum, or is it up to 25?
Up to 2,500. There's like 2,500, 1,000, I think 500, 100, 25, and 50. So I think 25 is the minimum.
Okay.
It's still a single card, but like you just put that money in and you immediately get a card out, and you could have the card shipped to your house, which I think is like the linchpin of the legality of all this, is that there's an actual card behind it.
Okay.
But you can also just
like an
immediately cash out. Yeah, exactly. It's like NFTs. It's this thing. I'm just talking about it because it's crazy, and apparently my algorithm tells me that I need it because it's like pumping it everywhere at me.
Wait, so is there an incentive to put more money in? Like, are you likelier to get a higher card, or could you put in $2,500 and get a $25 card?
They have percentage chances of getting certain ranges of cards. I think you're guaranteed 50% of the value which you put in. So like
Okay.
if you put in 2,500, you're guaranteed at least something worth 1,200 roughly.
W- What are the cards that are worth $2,500?
Dude, that apparently there's a ton of them. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I know the like there's there's Gengar, there's Gyarados, but it's like different versions, and I don't really know why each one is.
Pikachu 94 rookie card? Like, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like a Pikachu wearing a Mario hat, and that's worth more, I guess.
Huh.
I don't really get that whole part of it because collectors are, they're very specific about things and they all like flock together. But I know I have a 5-year-old, which is how I've like kind of fallen through this rabbit hole. Is like with Pokemon scalpers, you can't find Pokemon cards for like the normal price anymore because people are like there to clean out stores every time they get stocked.
Have you seen in department stores? I saw it in Fred Meyer. There's these like big quasi red boxes,
Yeah.
and inside they have like, these Pokemon. I don't
Mhm.
know if they're cards or toys, but they fill them up. And my buddy, he said that he was in Fred Meyer the other day, and he saw them, like he was getting into Fred Meyer while they were loading this big box, and then as he was leaving, he wanted to go check it out, and the entire thing was almost sold out. And people were
Yeah.
to go there and buy this stuff,
Mhm.
probably and
Mhm.
sell it for like a higher price or whatever, but it was like within 20 minutes the whole box is already like being emptied.
Well, again, because my algorithm has led me down this path, I've learned way more than I needed to, probably. So, like, the people who stock these machines are also most likely telling people that they're stocking the machines. So they have
Mm.
people who are following the stockers from store to store,
Oh, okay.
and they'll buy it immediately afterwards. Now, these machines, we have one at our local store. That's where I can sometimes get them. They're on like timed release, so they don't
Okay.
release them all at once. So you'll hit it, and after it's been stocked, it might say sold out because someone came in and got enough stock that they're like, okay, hold on.
We're gonna wait. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's smart. That's smart.
it is. But then you'll have people who are just like camping out all day. Like, I won't give addresses not to hurt local staff, but like I've seen the staff at Safeway near me, like they'll tell people if they see the machine has cards. They'll like text or like they'll call over another employee or something. Which, if I'm working at Safeway, I don't blame you, right?
Yeah,
So
well, yeah, you might as well.
I'm not here hating, but it's like it's interesting. It's hard out on these streets if you're looking for Pokemon cards, and so then GameStop comes up with this thing where you can gamble a bunch of money on Pokemon cards, and I'm just watching this and I'm like, Wow, this has to be like one of the least ethical things that is absolutely just gonna blow up and take. So many people are gonna spend so much money on this thing, chasing a card, and it's like this is a kids game. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
I feel like maybe DraftKings is gonna like find some of like GameStop's code in their app and then like sue them based on that, like some loophole, and
hmm
then like take it over
hmm
and then introduce it as like one of the options in their
But,
feed or something.
oh, I mean, yeah, like if you're DraftKings, figure out the same thing with like sports cards. The only issue then is that no one really cares about sports cards. You know, like they do, but they don't. There's like a super niche, but with Pokemon cards, it's been so generational at this point. Like my 5-year-old, he really wants cards, and that's I think my algorithm was me googling like how come I can't find cards.
Yeah, where are they? I mean, I got a room earlier this year. I got a Rome Odunze rookie card for like $2. So
I mean, look, I don't collect NBA cards, but do I have like some John Stockton and Karl Malone cards hidden away? Yeah, I sure do. There's players
my
when
my girlfriend found like on the side of the street, like there was a bunch of basketball cards, like relevant ones, like Jokic and other players, and they were just like in this bag in the rain. And we looked them up; they're not worth anything, not like Pokemon cards, but this is cool.
right, like why not? It's pretty. It's still neat stuff. I think that's the part that gets lost in all this. Is like these things get treated as kind of investment opportunities, but then I can like show my kid and he's like, "Oh man, look at that. That's a cool crocodile."
I own this now.
Right? He's like, it's a cool crocodile. That's what I like about it."
I was
And that's one of those things that hurts a little bit when I see it.
I love it. I love it because I think I peaked around Pokemon. My Pokemon interest was like around when I was like 5 or 6.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
I I always love the games, and that's like held over to this point. Like I'll play them. They're not. They're for kids. They're definitely for kids. Like they're so easy. I could do it while I'm sleeping. But there's like that. There's nostalgia based component of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, anyway, speaking of nostalgia based components of it, let's talk about fantasy football, and I'll bring up this to segue from nostalgia by saying Mark Andrews got paid. Um, he had a vintage game against the Bengals.
Of course.
Because the Bengals don't know how to cover tight ends. We are coming up with an idea that agents should specifically request that their aging tight ends get paid immediately after they play the Bengals.
Logical.
Yeah. We were looking it over, and I think Darren Waller week 16 is a wonderful opportunity because he plays the Bengals. And he probably needs some money.
I mean, at minimum, he could get like a really good 1 or 2 year deal from the
hmm
Dolphins or somebody.
hmm but so Mark Andrews is now connected to the Ravens after one of their most abysmal games in a long time for 3 years. It's a 3-year extension. Everyone thought he was washed, and the Bengals said, "Hey, watch this. You can't wash something that I've never seen."
This makes me feel like they're gonna move on from Isaiah Likely after this year. Like they're not. I mean, I think let's see. I think he's eligible for a contract extension. Is he a 4th year player? Let's see.
He might be third year, but he could be fourth.
He's 4th year. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, he was drafted 22, which means he's gone after this year, which is interesting. I mean, he hasn't shown a whole lot, but the fact that they're, I mean, clearly at least choosing Andrews over Likely and letting Likely leave in free agency is interesting.
Well, likely did that Adonai Mitchell thing where he lost the ball right before he crossed the goal line, so it ended up as a fumble into the end zone for a touchback.
That's rough.
And they don't like that, especially when Lamar can't score a touchdown. That was the one. That was the opportunity right there, and they would have won the game likely if they had scored that touchdown. No pun intended. So maybe this is the way of saying like, hey, Isaiah, don't do that again. You know why? Because you're not getting paid now.
I'm sure Mark Andrews is like, hey, Isaiah, man, I'm going to give you a bag. Right here, here's 100K just for help me out here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
To answer your question, Doormat 120, we do from time to time, as a matter of fact, give out fantasy advice fairly regularly. But you've just joined in at the start of the show where we start things off. So
little chat.
yeah, let's move into injuries real quick so we can get through this list for week 13. Uh, for the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. hurt his heel. This sounds like it may be a long-term injury. unrelated to the appendectomy and unrelated to the concussion he's had this year. So he's now had a pretty injury plagued year. Um, Good news for Michael Wilson. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Hopefully, I mean, I don't want to be a hater, and Marvin Harrison obviously was back this week, but I said, like, be cautiously optimistic about Michael Wilson, with or without Marvin Harrison, showing up in this offense, and he just didn't do anything this week. Um, it'll be interesting if Marvin's out, and if Michael Wilson does have another good game. It reminds me there's like another player, like relevant wide receiver duo that like when the other receiver is out, the other like wide receiver two has an amazing game, but he's never relevant during games where the wide receiver one is in. I can't think of who I'm thinking of right now. Um,
Well, I think that maybe the notion hasn't caught up with everyone yet, but maybe like Jameson Williams, Amon Ra.
yeah, okay, that I think that might have that might have been it. And that's
Yeah.
I mean, again, Amon Ra always plays, but we saw like last week, I unfortunately benched Jameson, and it's Amon Ra went out pretty early, and then Jameson had an incredible game.
hmm hmm
I don't know.
I'm sure there's other examples of this. We'll likely say one of them later on. I bet. Um, let's see. So the Bills lost pass rusher Joey Bosa. He did not return against the Steelers. I'm not super worried with this from a fantasy standpoint. It's not like the Bills defense was something to be vaunted or worried about. It might hurt their ability to cover the pass because pass rush.
He was having a good season. I mean, him and his brother are all both always, especially Joey, are often always injured. Often always injured. But Joey was having a great season. He had a lot of washed allegations coming into the year before signing with the Bills, and if he's out for an extended period of time, like you said, it might not super affect the Bills defense, but they definitely need a vet to go far in the playoffs. I mean, they had Von Miller the past few years, and if they don't have someone opposite Greg Rousseau, yeah, it's gradually, I think, as you get closer to the real life playoffs, it's gonna show up more and more.
Um, Offensive tackle Jack Conklin for the Cleveland Browns got a concussion, and Dylan Sampson was ruled out against the 49ers with a calf injury. If this matters to you, it might matter for you if you're a Quinshon Judkins owner because Judkins started catching passes after Dylan Sampson went out, and
Mhm.
and if Judkins can catch passes, which he has the skill set, we see it every time he's given the opportunity to. But if he can catch passes, that raises his floor quite a bit, which is where you're worried with Judkins is his floor. Um,
Even if it's just an extra like 4 or 5 receptions a game, that's significant.
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd kill because his floor prior to that was like 4 points. So if you can just get that buoy in PPR, 4 points for receptions, you're sitting pretty. Yeah, because it wasn't like this game against the 49ers, he was particularly great, but he scored 15 points. Which, it's not a blow up, but it's a game you're very happy for, especially from someone like Judkins.
I feel like if the Browns ever get a better offense while Judkins is there, he's gonna be like kind of like the I don't know, like the running back version of Devontae Adams. He comes to mind first in the sense that if they're in the red zone, he's going to be the guy that's go to like goal line back each time. Um, you can also kind of
hmm
see that with like JT or prime Derrick Henry, because he definitely has that ability and we've seen it. But like, imagine if the Browns' offense was actually really good.
Yeah, if like they didn't have to go wildcat to get him the ball in some sort of form, like if they could actually give it to a quarterback that scared opposing defenses, it would probably be really helpful.
Yeah.
Shador Sanders, I think, was also stated he's going to be the starter next week for sure. But from my understanding, it sounds like he'll be the starter the rest of the week, so long as he doesn't get hurt, or the rest of the season. Excuse me.
Well, the Browns just activated Deshaun Watson's 21-day practice window, and I kind of almost have to say it wouldn't shock me if he starts again purely for sunk cost fallacy or sunk costs. Like, I mean, if the Brown season is tanking, they got 2 games left, and he's able to go. Like, this is a win-win. Either they see maybe something with him and are able to trade one of the rookies or something, or like he gets even more injured, and then they have an excuse to cut him or something. I don't know.
Okay, so let's say we find out he's active next week, just not the starter. Are
Mhm.
you interested at all in picking him up and putting him on your bench?
No.
Okay, I have to be clear here, but like I agree wholeheartedly with that. There's no world in which I want Deshaun Watson on my team, but someone out there is going to ask the question because this guy had seasons in the past that were elite.
Yeah.
Um,
He led
people,
the league in passing at least 1 year.
yeah, he can't be understated. If you don't remember, before he tore his Achilles, he was terrible,
Yeah.
like the worst. And it all just like as soon as he stopped getting massages, he's just tanked out of the league.
Yeah, and I mean, you think he maybe has no shame, but clearly it's affected him psychologically, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
But
that's good. But I'm gonna go to this question here to segue here. You think JJ? I am assuming Justin Jefferson bounces back. Would you rather have Egbuka or JJ rest of the season? Um,
it's a good. This is a good question because I think they're pretty fair 1-to-1 comparison. Obviously, JJ has far worse. Baker's healthy, he has far worse quarterback play, but Abuka, there's more mouths to feed in that offense. I think I'd rather have Abuka, but it's close. I don't know. These are two guys that I would say are very comparable because they were both like have shown elite flashes. Abuka more so this year, and it's kind of just a big question mark. But I probably would lean Abuka.
we've seen how bad it can get for Justin Jefferson. It's pretty abysmal this year.
Yeah,
With Egbuka, we've seen like how good it can get. I think that's kind of the difference, right? We've seen the floors of Jefferson, but we've also seen maybe this year's ceilings of Egbuka. Not career ceiling. I think he'll get better as his career goes on.
well, both of them are going to get better.
Mhm. Exactly. So I think this year in particular, I want Egbuka rest of the season. If there's reasons for this, but I'd also say the question, because it's so even, comes down to what team do you believe in more, is the ability to get the ball to the player. And even though Jefferson's the alpha, 1A, the light at the end of the tunnel is JJ McCarthy, and
Yeah,
that hasn't been working for him. That's been working better for Jordan Addison. This isn't like, okay, Brosmer gets benched as he should. JJ McCarthy comes back and wow, here we are. We're back to elite production. Carson Wentz isn't coming back.
no.
Um,
And and I mean, maybe it's counterintuitive because JJ's the alpha guy, supposedly, and Abuka's not. But Abuka looked so much better when Bucky Irving was in the lineup. He looked so much better when there was another receiver like like Evans, or in this case Godwin, in the lineup. So um, I think that there being more healthy talent starting is helpful to Abuka's.
I think so too, because it just raises the floor of the Buccaneers offense altogether. And when that floor is being raised, that's more touchdowns to go around. And Egbuka was good at getting touchdowns.
Hmm.
So this is, for me, it's Egbuka.
Me
It's
too.
it's not particularly close. I can understand if you have Justin Jefferson though, you don't want to hear that, and that might be really hard here. It's that time of year, They're
I,
players you're just gonna move off of.
maybe like look at the playoff schedule real quick, but I would consider if you have Jefferson trying to trade him for Abuka. Name value alone, someone would take that.
Hmm. Hmm. So let's see. The for the Colts, Sauce Gardner suffered a calf strain.
It really looked like an Achilles rupture.
Sure
Like
did, and then he's getting more testing to determine how long term this might be. I'm not a huge fan of the Colts because they're an AFC team and they've been good. And team Peyton Manning really bothered me when he went to the Broncos, so kind of like he has their stank. But I feel bad for the Colts if they traded two first round players and the player immediately like. I guess I shouldn't speculate that he ruptured his Achilles. It did look like it a lot though,
it looked,
and
yeah, that was the thing.
so this calf strain, I'm hoping that really is all it is.
I mean, like zoom out a little bit of that. Okay, it's great. He didn't tear his Achilles, but having a calf strain is also like pretty debilitating to his at least in season production. Maybe playoffs. If they
Hmm.
make the playoffs, that could be good. He could be healthy by then, but I don't know.
After the Colts' historic start to the season, if they miss the playoffs, does Daniel Jones get offered that contract?
That's such a good question. I think yes, purely based on the fact that he is dealing with that fractured, is it fibula?
Yeah.
Or
Hmm.
the leg injury. So you could there's an excuse there where like, okay, he didn't play up to his standards because of the injury. So I really think he's in a win-win situation. Like either he's gonna help them get to the playoffs. I mean, even if they don't win a playoff game, that's getting to the playoffs. That's enough. Or like he has the excuse that he was injured, and Anthony Richardson clearly is not it. So they're gonna pivot to Jones, and I think they should. Also, even within that as well, like we saw what the Vikings did by letting Darnold go after his
Hmm.
back
Hmm.
season, and now they're regretting it. So I don't think the Colts are going to make that same mistake.
Yeah, I agree. he can operate the offense, I think, as it's intended to be operated too, and that can't be
Yeah,
understated.
yeah.
Um, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, wide receiver Parker Washington hurt his hip, and he went out for the game. And he didn't do anything. If you played him, sorry, that stunk. This clears the way for hopefully. I can't even like believe this, but Brian Thomas Jr. has
Hey,
the opportunity. He's had the opportunity all season though. So like, what does it mean? Is this just Jacoby Myers is now going to get an uptick in volume and just keep that uptick going, and him and Brenton Strange are going to be the passing offense?
I mean, it's worked so far, and I just has there been another player that showed so much promise as a rookie, or even just like has been a great fantasy receiver or any position for a few years, maybe, but especially like as a rookie, and has gone as like a late first, early second round pick, and then has fallen off so hard the next year, but it wasn't because of injury.
I think Allen Robinson when he went to the Rams, or maybe it was before the Rams, but
He was getting old. He was older at that point.
yeah, that's true. But he had that one amazing year in Jacksonville, and then he like followed it up with not having nearly the same level or
Yeah,
quality of play.
but
Uh,
then he was on the Bears, and he was great on the Bears in fantasy.
who is who is the receiver that was on the Bears, then he went to the Eagles? Alshon
Alshon
Jeff,
Jeffrey, yeah, Jeffrey.
because I feel like he had that where he showed a lot of flashes and then just disappeared for a while. And that's why he ended up on the Eagles, where then he became good again.
I could see, yeah, maybe. I mean, that could be just be the Bears passing game with late stage Cutler and Mike Glennon. But also, I think something that comes to mind would be Eddie Lacy, maybe on the
Yeah,
Packers. Of
yeah.
course, he just got chonky, so like it wasn't injury related. There was a physical thing there, but
Oh man, and I'm remembering the dog pound guy, um, the Browns running back who really popped for 1 year.
oh, Trent Richardson, like
No, that's a good one too, though. But
yeah.
no, 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 no. He was on the cover of a Madden. He got onto the cover of Madden. He was a Browns
Was it
running back.
was it running? Because I'm thinking there's Josh Gordon too. That was
I consider him a multi-year wonder. Okay,
okay.
Josh Gordon was Peyton Hillis. There we go. We got the
Peyton Hillis. Okay,
yeah,
that
yeah.
is
And
a
if you don't
great.
remember him, like he was amazing, and then immediately just dropped off. Like, uh, I'm hoping the issue I'm having is he reminded me a lot of like Cam Scatabo. That's who Cam reminded me of the way he played. And that scares me a lot for Cam's like career because
Yeah.
it could just not work. But
I liked Cam a lot, but I traded him in Dynasty the week before he got injured, and I got Ted McMillan out of it. So, I'm not definitely not regretting that trade. I really hope that him and Jackson Dart learn to protect themselves from taking big hits and playing with that kind of aggressive style. It's look at Carson Wentz if you're Jackson Dart. That's what I would say.
yeah, and you're seeing a lot of most likely everyone's seeing a lot of criticism for the way Jackson Dart doesn't get out of bounds or doesn't protect himself. And it's
It
rightly
doesn't
so.
slide. It doesn't slide. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big deal because it's not just for Jackson Dart. This isn't like tough it out, go out there, be cool. The whole team relies on his health. You can see the difference. I mean, Jameis Winston looked great, but you can see the difference if he had, Russell Wilson back in there, someone else back in
Yeah.
there. It's not good. So Jackson's got to protect himself for the whole New York Giants team.
I hope for his sake he gets a head coach next year that can relate to him on a level that like isn't just like critical of like you got to protect yourself, but like there's something else like that he can, I don't know, like communicate or just be like give him a purpose and a reason to protect himself and not just to.
Bravery and courage is, fighting for your team, not for yourself, something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. Yeah, if he has the right head coach, I could see him.
Yeah.
I mean, also he's being influenced by Brian Dable, who doesn't or he was who doesn't give a any
No,
like
Dable needs wins. I
yeah
I will say this: if somehow Jackson Dart ends up as like that 6th round quarterback next year, he's going to be the dude you're going to want.
yeah.
He just looks like he's an elite producer as far as fantasy goes. Immediately.
Drake,
Uh,
shout out like Drake May. He like I could see him being next year's
mhm.
Drake May for sure with better weapons.
Let's say move on to the Los Angeles Chargers real quick. So, Justin Herbert broke a bone in his left hand. He had surgery on it, and it sounds like he's still going to play this week. Just
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like they care about his left hand being hurt. Justin Herbert plays through injuries, but the issue with Justin Herbert and injuries is that usually you can really clearly see the impact on his play. He'll play through him, and he will not play nearly as well as he does when he's not hurt.
No.
But the breaking a bone in your left hand, I I get that in theory it's not going to impact his throwing motion,
Hmm.
but I think we saw it with Rodgers wearing his cast on his left hand this last week. It just impacts the way they play the game. I really don't like this for Chargers skill players.
Yeah. Oh, I do like it. Well, I'll talk about a bit later, but I do like it for the possibility of checkdowns to a great receiving back who's probably coming back.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely raises his floor. Or
They're gonna need to
floor
rely on the run too.
in yeah,
Hmm.
relying on the run. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, with Herbert being out, or I mean potentially out, I don't know. I think maybe temper your expectations if he plays this week. I'll say that.
I have a relevant question right now too.
Hmm.
Um, Shout out from Wyoming. Do I pick up a Trevor Lawrence or Bo Nix to replace Herbert this week? Dink, doink, or donk? Doink first off.
Going.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, Wyoming. I've been to Wyoming. I went there when I was a kid. We're from Oregon. I think Wyoming is probably the second most beautiful state I've ever been to. So, I shout out Wyoming. Um,
Sick.
Go
Sick.
check out Devils. Go check out Devil's Tower if you're ever in Wyoming. It was super cool. I was like a
Okay.
7-year-old kid. I loved it.
I went to Yellowstone as a kid, and I don't remember a lot of it, but I can't remember if that was Wyoming or Montana. I think it's like a little bit of both.
Mostly Montana, I think. Or that's
Fair.
Glacier. I don't know. Anyway, go
Yeah.
check it out. Very, very beautiful. I am hesitant to pick up either, honestly, just with Bo Nix and what we saw, what he did against the Raiders last time, which was not good.
So this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for someone who I'm going to talk about later.
Mhm.
Shockingly, if you look at the Denver Broncos split, and I'm going to go back for longer than just Bo Nix, but
Okay.
the Broncos and the Raiders each year have played each other. The Broncos have done really well in one game and really
Mhm.
poorly in another game.
Okay.
So this game I think is going to be the blow up game. I think
Okay.
they're going to just boat race the Raiders in this game. Um,
That last game was a weird Thursday night game on a short
mhm.
week too. So that's a fair point.
Like if you want one player stats to look up, go look up Cortland Sutton's stats. Every year against the Raiders, he has one terrible game and he has one amazing game, and it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. It's just the way it goes.
Okay.
Um, so this is going to be the blow up game. So Bo Nix is my vote here. If you're looking for long term, I hesitate to say Bo Nix because he's been real bad. He has not looked good.
He's had some solid floor games though too.
It's true. I'm starting him in a league that I care about, and like there's no quarterbacks on the waivers because it's a super flex, and I don't really
Mm.
feel the need to replace him. Like it hasn't been bad. Sometimes it is, but also that's true of almost all quarterbacks at this point. Like we get those sometimes it's really bad, but like usually it's okay. Usually he has to pass for at least one touchdown. Uh,
They make up for it.
it's not the best thing in the world to say at least one touchdown. But when you're dealing with these level of quarterbacks, does Trevor Lawrence have any more games against the Texans, or are they done?
I think they're done. I kind of like Lawrence this week against the Colts because I think it's going to be a shootout. But he's so speaking of boomer bust, he's really hard to get excited about.
Well, the issue is you can see Trevor Etienne, or you can see ETN come right back in and make up for his down week last week and score all the touchdowns this week. And then Trevor's just left out in the cold.
Yeah, yeah.
And they say Yellowstone is barely in Montana.
I'm thinking of Glacier. That's thinking of Glacier. That's right.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, I know I've been in Yellowstone. I thought it was Wyoming, but I was also like 6. So, that's like memories that are so fuzzy at this point that you could stick them in. I don't know where the analogy I'm going for is leading me to right now. So
I
we're just going to move.
I do want to say I think you convinced me to go to Bo Nix over Lawrence, but I also kind of have a good feeling about Sam Darnold this week.
So, okay. So if Darnold's out there, you're thinking Darnold would be a good replacement.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Um,
more of a
we'll
gut
also talk
feeling,
about
but
that later.
yeah.
So the Raiders wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr. got a concussion, was ruled out. It doesn't really matter. Vikings running back Aaron Jones hurt his shoulder. It sounds like it's up in the air right now as far as whether or not he plays. So, and this next week they are going against
the Commanders, I think.
Yes. So that would be a wonderful game to, in theory, start someone. I can't, in good conscience, tell you to start Jordan Mason if he's out.
I don't know if Jones is out. I mean, we saw Mason. The Vikings got to have a bounce back game. We saw Mason have some good games beginning of the year with JJ, mostly with Wentz, but with JJ too. So I don't know. I think if Jones is out, I would start. If you had to, would start Jordan Mason over some guys.
This is the sort of week where maybe you really do have to.
Yeah.
But I just watching Jordan Mason play, he's not playing very well right now.
Yeah, I could say that about a lot of Vikings.
That's true. But like he fumbled the ball this last game. He picked it back up, but it was a really bad fumble where the guy barely touched him. You know what I mean? Like he's in his head somewhere.
Mm.
And so I don't think that even if he is the starter, he's going to be the guy. It's going to go back to if it's still Ham they got, and I forget the name of that third down running back they got earlier in the season.
Ty Chandler. Oh, third down running back.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
Chandler's out for the season, so
okay.
I it doesn't matter, but the big point here being is that I still think they're going to spread around the ball, and Jordan Mason just doesn't right now show the capability of having a blow up game. He could have an okay game, which you might need that, but
Yeah, I think it's just like a situation if you have like CMC and Trayvon and or like Rico Dottle or something, they're all on bye. That's when you might pivot to someone like Jordan Mason.
Speaking of which, I do have CMC and Travion on bye in one league, and because too many leagues, you don't plan for every contingency, right? So let me ask you a question about people who might be around him.
Okay.
And this is theorizing Aaron Jones does miss his time, okay?
Okay.
Would you go Bashal Tootin or Jordan Mason?
Bashal Tootin he's gotten the hot hand in the red zone lately, and I think DeForest Buckner's still out. Who would be he's like the best run defender on the Colts. I would probably pick Tootin over him.
Okay. What about Devin Singletary with Tracy getting carted off, but it was a stinger, is what they're saying. He got carded for a stinger, which is
I love
crazy.
that term for an injury. It's so funny. I was just picture like bees.
Same. They're like, hey, he got stung.
Remember in B movie when there's like that scene when there's like a bee and he's got like a bunch of like tape around his butt? That's what I think of when I hear about.
Oh man, that's wonderful. No, I didn't watch B movie. That's gonna be the difference
Really?
between our age groups.
Oh, wow.
I know what you're talking about because Jerry Seinfeld was in it, but
He plays himself, honestly.
he plays himself as a bee.
Yeah, really, it's just him.
So Singletary, and let's say Tracy's in, or Jordan Mason, Jones is out.
Honestly, Jordan Mason. I don't know. Singletary, I just can't. I'm also a little pissed because I think he got a touchdown last week, and it was between him and Ramondre to start for my running back position, and I picked Ramondre, and I think if I started Singletary, I would have won the week. But I don't know. Tracy, I don't know. The Giants' backfield is just bad.
Yeah, losing Scatabo really feels
I
unfortunate.
really think with Aaron Jones out, I would start Jordan Mason over them or over Singletary with Tracy out.
I don't even know who the Giants are playing. I'm looking for it right now, and I'm
They're
not
on
finding it.
bye, so there's actually I just realized that.
That's the answer is that
Yeah.
you definitely don't. Singletary is not the guy. Blake Corum, Kyron Williams active, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones inactive.
Mason, because I was actually getting excited about Corum this week and considering picking him up off waivers, and he's definitely getting more involved. But he had a series of games where he had like maybe like 7 or 8 carries a game and was putting up like 1 or 2 points. So his floor is so low, so much lower than Mason, and his ceiling isn't much higher.
Okay, that's fair. So Jordan Mason is not significantly higher, but he is higher than a lot of the garbage wire picks you can pick up, like the non need it.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm looking for other important offensive injuries, and I'm missing the Thursday night games, and I'm missing Monday night games apparently from this list. I don't really want to look them up.
Okay, let me think here. Thursday night, or do you have the Friday? There was no big Bears Eagles injuries, right?
I don't believe so. Let's see. Thursday injuries.
I watched that whole game. I don't remember.
There was a lot of games on Thursday.
There
I
was.
hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate that, I hope everyone had. Oh, duh, dude. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh wow, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is he hurt his ankle. It's low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. That means he could be back sooner rather than later. However, he likely will miss this week. I can't imagine them putting him back out this week.
He's playing tomorrow. So if it was Sunday, he's tough. I know he would tough it
Mhm.
out, but and Campbell actually came out and said that if he didn't give a decisive answer, he's just like if he hasn't been practicing, but if he feels like he can play tomorrow, he'll play tomorrow. But I really would hope they don't do that. I know it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
boys, but like it's a must-win game. But geez, I don't know. Feels risky.
Yeah. I hope they don't. Is there any interest in Isaac Tesla?
I think he got picked up in both of my leagues, or at least my two main leagues this week. I don't know. I honestly, if you believe in him getting a long bomb touchdown, which I do, yeah, if you need it. I mean, I'm starting Jameson Williams this week, and I'm pretty excited.
Hmm.
Also, Brock Wright is out, so he's not going to be getting any red zone looks. I don't even know if they were starting a tight end this week. I don't know who's on that team.
The third string tight end. I don't know who it is.
Dan
I don't think it
Skipper,
matters.
I don't know, but yeah, I think Tesla is a solid flex play this week, just because like I think he has this weird. It was like he's at 5 receptions through like 12 games, and 4 of them were touchdowns or something like that. So he feels like a likely deep threat to get some plays this week. So yeah,
Okay, so it could be a good dart throw.
yeah,
Someone to place if you need maybe upside as opposed to a floor play.
yeah. Who's the and there's another guy. Well, we saw that random dude named Kevin pop off for the Lions last week. I don't know who that guy was. I'd probably lean Khalif Raymond over him if he's still there. Who's the guy? Is it Josh Reynolds or Khalif Raymond?
I believe it's Cleef. Josh Reynolds, I think, was on the Jets and he got
Yes.
hurt.
Okay. So yeah, maybe
Um,
I would look at Khalif over Kevin, but definitely Isaac over both of them.
yeah, and I think they have want to get Isaac integrated into the offense. The coach has said as much a couple weeks back. He said we want to get Isaac some more looks. They it was 3 third-round picks, the 2 to trade up for him, and then the third they took with him. So that's he was like worth 9 picks if I do the math right.
No,
That's a bad joke.
they
Gosh.
used they used big draft capital on him to
Mhm.
trade up to get him in the third round. So that's significant. I like Tesla this week. I
Yeah.
almost actually I should have put him in my gut check starts, and I honorary mention he's there. Also,
Woody Marks also got hurt.
I was gonna say it's not Kevin, it's Tom Kennedy, but same thing.
Tom Kevendy, you know.
And Tom Kevin, yeah, exactly. Woody Marks, did he return to the Titans game or not the Titans game?
Yeah, he
The
did return, so it didn't seem to be a big deal. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else from these Thursday night games I missed, and I don't see anything else ultra important.
um man, let's see. The Bengals Ravens game. I feel like there was an injury there. I think maybe my mind was just thinking how injured Lamar looked.
We'll have to talk about Lamar Jackson. I have him on a list, and this is
Uh-oh.
it's a list. Nah, that's a good list for him, but we'll talk about it. I
He's not
think
he's not on the flight logs. He's on a good list.
yeah, he's on it. He's on a good list.
Okay.
He looked so bad though. Don't get me wrong. Like he looked like if it's not injury, then the Bengals of all teams have him really figured out.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
there are these weird games. I mean, they're a divisional team, like they're just weird games where teams just know the other player really well.
yeah. I do want to give a quick shout out just to the Bears. So that like that time period between Thanksgiving and Christmas where it's like you're in holiday mode or like whatever you celebrate, the end of a year is the end of a year. Even if you're not celebrating any holiday, it's like there's that transition period to the next year where everything's just like in limbo. And that's how I feel with the Bears being number 1 in the NFC right now, where it's like we're past the Thanksgiving, the holiday weekend there, and I don't want it to get to the next Sunday because there's going to be likely a switch up for the number 1 seed. Um, and I just it's like I wanna be in this, like, holiday limbo where I'm not expected to do much or, like, be productive, I'm just kind of in limbo,
Mhm.
and that's how I want
Mhm.
to stay right now. It hasn't sunk in at all yet.
No, I mean, so you got the Bears as the number 1 seed in the NFC. They've looked good. They've found ways to win a lot of games. Just, majority of the games, that's how you get to be the number 1 seed. You also have the Patriots as the number 1 seed in the AFC. So, like, what am I seeing? Like, two teams that get a new coach and then come out and just look completely different and look awesome? "Hey, Raiders. Hey, buddy." Anyways, it's not worth it. I'm not
They
even
are
gonna
just the Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel are just such good locker room guys. Like, they just I mean, y that video I watched that video of shirtless Ben Johnson, like, more times than I would care to admit, and you can just see it, like, don't even, like, look at him and how hyped up he is, just look at the players around him and how much they admire him. It seems like not just because they're winning, but because he cares so much. His enthusiasm just comes across as so genuine, even in games when they're not, even in points where they're not winning games or in press conferences where it's been. You can tell he just has a lot of passion for a team, win or lose. And when they do lose, he has passion to win, and he just seems to really relate to his guys, and you can just see that. You can just see that in the players, and that's such a huge, huge thing for a team, especially a team that's like on the rebound and hasn't won in a while. You need to get your guys, especially your young guys, like hyped up and like feeling good about each other, and it just it matters so much, not to get like all on my soapbox about the power of friendship, but it really does. Like you have to have this innate chemistry with your teammates in order to win, and when you have that solidarity amongst everyone because of the coach who empowers you, and you can just look up to and trust, that just really goes a long way.
I don't know
I'm
what
not
that's like,
and then
so
there's and
I
then
don't
and then
I
there's
don't
the Raiders, and
I
there's the
don't know what
Raiders.
that's like. Pete Carroll was wrestling defensive ends. I thought it was good chemistry. I don't think it is anymore. Um, so I would comment. I just don't know that. You know what I mean? Like our best coach was John Gruden, who got fired for racist emails. So
Low bar.
that's what's great. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome.
I'm slipping. Who was the guy in the '80s? Was the big Raiders coach in the Super Bowl?
So there was John Madden.
Oh, duh. Okay, yeah.
Yes, I don't mean our okay. You're right. I shouldn't say our best coach because he's clearly not our best coach. This John Gruden guy, he's the best coach of like the last 10 years,
Yeah.
15 years, 20 years, something like that. Who cares? It
Well,
doesn't
and
matter. It's all the
I
same.
say that with Ben Johnson. I don't wanna get too excited, but, like, there's not been I mean, Lovie Smith was great. He got us to the Super Bowl, but, there hasn't been, like, a really iconic Bears coach since Ditka. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been yeah, right. Sometimes it's just a long time. Like we had John Madden and Tom Flores. Those are our two
Coach, yeah.
coaches. Other than that, Al Davis himself and a whole bunch of nothing. Because if you didn't get along with Al, you got fired.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, I'm just daydreaming about what it'd be like to have a coach that looked like they cared. It wasn't McDaniels. We had Antonio Pierce who kind of pretended he cared. I will tell you about this about Antonio Pierce though. He went and got a job with the Chiefs afterwards.
I know, yeah, that's rough.
He's fake. He's a fake. He's fake.
You can say
Can't.
the same for Ben though, because Ben, I mean, much less, but I mean, he was on the Lions and he dipped for the Lions for a divisional rival. That's a little like
It,
not
it
quite.
is, but also I think everyone understood why. He had Caleb Williams. He had the one overall pick. He had a team that looked like it could do something, and they were willing to go and splash on the offensive line. I think that was a big part of it. He was like, "Hey, if I get here, will you like give me a blank check for offensive line?"
Yeah, and they did, and I mean that's why their run game is so good. Like
Uh,
point blank.
well, then this is like what I was really thinking is I made the joke about first year head coaches for their teams, anyways, this year because I don't know that it's that. I actually think it's just the teams that invested heavily into their offensive line and ended up with pieces that were the right pieces
Mhm.
are elevating very rapidly.
In terms of like, I mean, yeah, obviously locker room culture and the coach's integrity is big, but like, yeah, in terms of teams that, I mean, because you see teams that love their coach and their record is not very good at all. But yeah,
Mhm.
in terms of a high, like a team that ascends quickly, it's because of the O line or if the investment in the trenches in general.
I figure like the offensive coaches can't really be this bad. You know what I mean? Like they're not really this bad. I think what they can't change is their whole entire system to being prepared to work under 2 seconds.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
there's so many plays and so much that goes into the offensive play calling that involves, longer quarterback play than holding on to the ball for 2 seconds and then he's sacked.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the Broncos Washington game that happened this last week was a really good one to watch for this because the Commanders actually looked pretty good.
Mhm.
They had changed their offense to get the ball out very quick, and Mariota was running it wonderfully. However, every time they went to do any sort of draw, it was a loss of 4 to 5 yards. And, it was just like it was a wiggle in their offensive system. They didn't get rid of them because they couldn't fully get rid of them. This is a part of what they do. They needed to, mix in Debo draws, Mariota draws, um, Rodriguez or Bill Krosky. There we go. We came up with it. And every single time they did it, they just could get snuffed out, right?
Yeah.
But now you go over a whole entire season of saying, "I'll remove these things from your playlist." It's like you can't just do that.
No, you can't. It's not O-line matters so, so, so
Mhm.
much.
So, anyways, if you're looking for the ascendant teams next season, I'll just bring this up. Look for the teams that invested heavily in their O line, and like not just in the draft because the draft is kind of a crapshoot. The draft is a good way. We can see someone, like the Patriots. They invested a top 5 pick and it worked out, but also the ones that put a ton of money into it. Like the Bears are spending how much money on their O line?
So, my Drew Dalman, Joe Tooney, Darnell Wright isn't gotten paid yet, but he's looked great.
Number
Um,
one seed in the NFC, absolutely worth it.
exactly. And they gave him, pretty substantial contracts. Even Jonah Jackson, who's who's been injured a lot, he's been healthy and he's looked great, like prime, like Lions Jonah Jackson. So there's a bit of luck even with signing veterans in there, but just that attention to detail of chemistry of in the O line is important. I do want to give a quick shout out. Now that you mentioned it, if the Jets go out and sign like a big free agency interior offensive lineman, can't think of off the top of my head who that might be. But they already have two really solid young tackles in Membu and the other guy from Penn State. So if they beef up their interior O line, they could be that team next year. Not saying the Jets
Mhm.
are going to be there, but they're a team that's invested in O line through the draft that could really um, bump it up with some good veterans in free agency.
Yeah, and this is just one of those like notes to keep going. It's been true forever. Like,
Also, look at the Chiefs and the Chargers. Their O lines are super banged up, and they've fallen off a cliff
hmm hmm
offensively.
or look at the Eagles, where like their O line's not banged up, but it's the only thing that's actually keeping them in games is the fact that they can kind of, like
Well,
their offense sucks, but it only kind of stays together because they can let plays develop.
they have so many good offensive linemen, but I mean, they lost Kelsey to retirement, and then they also Landon Dickerson has been out at least for a bit there.
hmm
So even then, they've like had some shakeups and changes there, and even that little slight, you've seen it affect Saquon.
hmm
So
Well, yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about hot takes. Let's go to hot takes.
let's do.
What are so now? Well, you threw this idea out at me, and I just want to clarify here. We talking about hot takes specifically for fantasy, or are we talking about hot takes for the NFL as a whole in general?
I got 3/4 are for fantasy, and then I got some NFL hot takes.
Sure.
So
Okay. Okay. Why don't you hit me off with one?
all right, so a lot of my hot takes, and I'm curious to hear yours too because I want to bounce ideas off each other. But I think that I started off like looking at ascending running backs in the past few weeks, and like looking at trends, and also just like a little bit of gut feeling, and then also a little bit of playoff schedule. But there's two guys, and one of them is a homer pick that I have, and I really hope happens. Um, I honestly could see both Marion Hampton, and Chase Brown being top three running backs the rest of the season. Now Hampton, a lot of that factors into the potential Herbert injury or Herbert being out and Trey Lance and the checkdowns and like the Chargers also like needing to rely heavily on the run game for a variety of reasons. Again, O line's super banged up, but I mean Hampton's a beast and he seems like the kind of pass catching running back and the kind of just tough player that can play through a really banged up O line. No disrespect to Ashton Genty because similar types of players, but I don't know. I feel like he catches even more passes, and he's got a much better coaching staff, so that kind of makes up for.
Well, with Ashton Genty, he's coming from a team that was historically bad in the run last year,
Mhm.
and they didn't do anything to get better other than drafting Genty.
Yeah, and the Chargers, like, they their O-line is super banged up, but the offense around them and the play calling and the design is they've radically changed that the past few years. So that makes up for it in my opinion. And then also Chase Brown, like his playoff schedule is nice, very nice. And he's looked really good the past couple weeks, like really, really good.
So my only my concern with Chase Brown is one, because I think everything is clicking exactly as you'd hoped it would. He really does look like the guy who you wish you drafted. Like as someone who drafted him in the second and then held on through all this god awful. He has paid dividends at the end of the season.
Yeah,
However, here's my big issue: is that part of that is clearly quarterback play, but a big part of that too is that Samaje Perine missed a lot of games, and I don't know what goes through Zach Taylor's head when he says, "Let's switch them out every 3 plays."
it's true, but
Samaje scares me as a vulture. In games where the running is hard, Samaje is going to vulture one, and that's going to give you a floor game with Chase Brown somewhere in here.
that's true. That's true. But I think that looking at the schedule, I think the Bengals are going to be leading or in very, very much so in or leading all the games. Like they got Buffalo with their run defense. They got Baltimore, which could be a tough matchup, but Chase Brown looked great against them this past week. They got Miami, whose defense has gotten significantly better since the beginning of the season, but like it's still going to be. I think it's going to be a run heavy game for both the Dolphins and the Bengals, and then they end with Arizona. And Zach Taylor is the coach, and he does like to switch it up and put P Ryan in there. But I think at this point, the man that holds the most power on that team is Joe Burrow, even more so than Zach Taylor. He gets the most respect, and just he loves to target Chase Brown. And we saw Chase Brown ascending even before Joe Burrow returned. But
Mhm.
I just feel like there's a very strong chance that like it worked last year, and with Burrow back, I think Chase Brown could really be his like have the same role that he did last year, where he ended and ended up becoming such a high pick this year in fantasy.
And I think this isn't a bad line of thinking. I think this is almost likely because of the way they've changed the offense. So, like the quarterback came in, and when I'm talking with Joe Flacco, right? He took over for Jake Browning. He almost transformed that offense
Yeah.
immediately.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Burrow's going to get ascended more. Ascendant's probably not the right word, but he's going to improve it more. What I think is the big deal is that they're getting these pass plays off pretty quick, and Chase Brown's the dump off. So what they're doing is you can see them going through their reads, and if they're not immediately there, they're dumping it off.
Yeah.
And Chase Brown's a wonderful receiver. This is what you would hope for when you drafted Chase Brown, is exactly this. Because I mean,
That's what he did last year. Yeah.
and it works. I mean, you've seen these games that he scores over 15 points. He's getting 6, 7, 8 receptions. Like against New England, he only had 2, but he had a wonderful game rushing. So it was just different, setup. But the receptions are there now, and that is going to provide not only a safe floor, but it gives him so many opportunities that the ceiling raises.
Significantly.
hmm
And and the ceiling raising based on where it's already at, that's yours. I mean, it's already the floor is already great. So if
hmm
the floor raises and the ceiling raises, like that's if you just look at the numbers and the matchups and break it down, it really feels like top three is within reason, at least on paper.
And I liked it because there was this idea that the Bengals aren't in the playoff race, so what does it matter? How hard are they going to keep playing, right? But
Exactly.
they had this little during the broadcast they had this like interview with Joe Burrow, where it's just like I want to beat teams. I just want to beat teams. I don't care if I'm in the playoffs this year or not. I can't control that at this point. He's like, I'm here to win though. Like I want to ruin these guys' playoff chances, and so I don't think that's going to go away.
The Bengals are still in it. I'm sorry. Like I think there's a remember the NFC East a few years ago when the Commanders won it, going 8-9. I've been playing around with like playoff projections and my predictions and stuff, and like half the time, like the winner of AFC North for me is an 8-9 team, which is crazy. But if you look at the schedule, it really could possibly work out that way.
It The only way that isn't realistic is if Lamar returns to form.
That's a caveat, exactly.
That's the only way that's not realistic. But if Lamar continues to look like he does, and Aaron Rodgers broke his left hand, like it's all messed up, like he's gonna be Perk Rodgers from now on. Those teams they're just gonna fall off because the Steelers don't have a good enough defense to just rely on it. Like it shows up sometimes, but not all the time. So
No,
I, it would be a ridiculous thing if this happened for the Bengals. However, with that said, if Lamar doesn't come back, I could see it happening.
And regardless, like the Bengals they still have that chance, so they're gonna be playing like they're gonna make the playoffs. Like that's the mindset I feel like the offense is gonna have with Burrow back. Um, I do want to just do a quick, tiny little mini rant here. I have no reason to defend Mike Tomlin, but people saying that he deserves to be fired because the Steelers' offense has been so stale. He has not had a good quarterback whatsoever this decade. Like he played a washed Ben for 3 years. He had Kenny Pickett, he had Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, a few good weeks of Aaron Rodgers. Like, and the fact that they're still even they're not winning playoff games, but the fact that they're still over 500 every year with just terrible quarterback play, like that's not on Tomlin. That's not
Terrible quarterback play, mediocre defensive play. Like their units don't
true.
have that much talent. Like you can't just rely on TJ Watt.
It's true. That's a criticism of him for sure. I still feel like his play calling hasn't necessarily gotten rusty. It just hasn't been able to play to its past strengths because of the quarterback play.
No, I mean, like, let's say Tomlin gets released. I'm the first on the phone to say Raiders go get that guy. Get rid
Yeah.
of Carroll.
Oh,
Go get
that would
Tomlin right now, right the second. You know what I mean? Like
that
Tomlin as a coach has been let down by quarterback play, and the GM, whoever the GM is that is there, I don't know him off the top of my head, hasn't remedied their problems very well.
no, he hasn't. And again, the similar like they've been over 500, so they're not going to fire their GM. So it's kind of like this balancing act thing. But I really think Tomlin would benefit from a change of scenery personally, but I don't think he's the issue in Pittsburgh at all.
Mm. No, and can you imagine if they had signed Daniel Jones?
It's an offense that plays to his strengths, much like Shane
Mm-hmm.
Steichen's system. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers looked good at well, I don't know that he looked fully good. He looked good in certain games, but he looked way better at the beginning of the year than he has looked now. Of course, he
Mhm.
broke his left hand or his wrist or whatever, so that makes sense. But we've seen this team look a lot worse as soon as this injury happened and this offense started dropping off the field. And as soon as they stopped throwing to DK Metcalf, I just want to hit him in the head. Like you have to throw to your top receiver. You can't just ice him out of games.
Yeah. It, I don't know. I think the Steelers are kind of cooked. I don't have any faith in them.
No, it's got to be bad vibes. Like every time I see, anyways.
Well, my
We
cat is about to eat some plastic, so I'm gonna go stop
Yes,
that.
go stop the cat from eating plastic. Okay, I'll give you a hot take while you're gone. I'm going to say that despite the poor middle part of the season here, Quinshawn Judkins is primed to be a top 10 running back.
Like for the rest of the season, or like
Yeah,
for
yeah, he's got a wonderful schedule. Tennessee, Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati if you go to week 18.
that is it. I mean, that's a damn that's a damn good playoff
Mhm.
schedule. Tennessee, Chicago, Buffalo. Those are not good run defenses.
No. Like even if the Browns are going to lose, I don't really care about that. But
No.
Quinshawn's going to he's going to go back to that output when everyone's saying he's locked and loaded RB, 1, RB2. He's going to get back to that. We saw it against San Francisco, even though San Francisco's, better than these teams that I listed.
Here's maybe a hot take. I mean, and obviously, like, so if you're Cleveland and you want to sell tickets for the rest of the year and you want your fans to come out in the blistering cold and watch the Browns play, I know the media is in love of Shadur Sanders, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but local Clevelanders aren't going to games to see Shadur Sanders. It's the media that is excited to see him play. They don't have faith in this quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if they follow like Browns media and the media's local media is hyping him up a lot, then maybe they're going to see games to see Shadur Sanders. My point being, like, if you want to sell tickets, you want to feature Quinshon Judkins heavily. If you want fans to come out to your -2-degree games in the late,
The dog pound, that being the Cleveland fans, really seem to love running backs that are like pretty tough and play hard nosed too.
mm-hmm.
And Quinshawn, that's his wheelhouse. Give him the ball, let him play tough. I love what they're doing with the Wildcat in the red zone.
Yeah,
Like they're like, don't even get Shador out of here. Get Dylan out of here. I don't even want him to touch the ball. They're not going to score. Get him out. Just
yeah,
give the ball to Quinshawn. And I just don't see any reason this doesn't continue. This is such a good schedule for a running back, particularly running back, where they're going to lose these games. That's fine. The running back is going to have lanes.
yeah, 100%, and just be featured so heavily. And I mean, I don't know if Samson's going to be out or not, but we've seen Judkins improve in the passing game, and Sanders in general check down to his running backs more than Dylan Gabriel did. So just, it's nowhere to go really but up with him. And I think even top 5 rest of the season isn't much of a hot take.
Okay, cool. What's your next hot take?
My next hot take is another like top 5 quarterback rest of the season, and this is mostly dependent on schedule of this player. And I need to pull it up here real quick. It's a quarterback, and I think that maybe you could judge his last game because it wasn't as exciting. It was in prime time, but it didn't really have he didn't really have his normal like amount of passing touchdowns as we've seen his with his ceiling early in the year. But I think Jackson Dart has a pretty nice schedule coming up, and I think the Giants, Jackson Dart and their interim head coach, with the slight possibility of getting rehired as their permanent head coach, want to win games. Like I know the teams tank a lot in the NBA, but that's just really not a thing in the NFL.
Hmm.
And I think Jackson Dart, I think, what do you see? How many career wins does this guy have? He's got 1 career win. And he's got Commanders, Minnesota, and then Vegas as the championship final. And I think he wants to win some games. Those are 3 winnable games, and I think Dart is going to play his butt off, use his legs more against those defenses, and I think that we can absolutely see him go back to his ceiling. Like he put up 28 points against Denver. Let's see, 26 against Chicago, 23 against the Philly defense when they were playing better, 27 points against the Niners when they still had Fred Warner. Like I think that Dart has shown his QB1 franchise quarterback skill, and I think that the next step for him to develop as a quarterback is to win some games, and I think he's going to ball out rest of the season.
Okay, I love that. Jackson Dart is just like I said, he's a producer. Uh, the winning games part has to come at some point. They can't keep losing the games in the way they've been losing them.
Yeah,
But also he's just such a producer. You can't go wrong if you're plugging him in. It doesn't matter who his supporting cast is. It doesn't matter if they stink that game. It doesn't matter.
no,
He produces. And that game against the Patriots had to have been one of the hardest hitting games I've seen in a while. The Patriots looked like they had something personal against this Giants team.
yeah, they do historically.
Yeah, this is true, but like they and Vrabel in particular, I suppose. I don't know if he was there for both Super Bowl appearances that they lost to the Giants, but I feel like he was.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I'm fine if you got Jackson Dart, love it.
yeah. There's very few quarterbacks I'd be more excited to start than him rest of the season. I'll say that.
Yeah, this is fair. Okay, I got one more for you here.
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers,
All right.
top 12 wide receiver rest of the season.
Crazier things have happened, and there's chemistry. There's chemistry.
It is literally the only person I've seen Trevor Lawrence have chemistry with that wasn't a tight end. And again, Liam Cohen is going to feature him because they went out and got him in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
General manager is going to ask that, hey, like make this look smart for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Myers, as a Raiders fan, when it didn't work out, he was still a good receiver, just in a bad place. And I am just watching it click, and it makes all the sense in the world. It looks routine for him every single time he catches the ball. It just looks like routine. Like he doesn't even look like he's trying that hard. That to me tells me there's upward room for a ceiling. And if they throw him the ball like they have been, he's going to keep producing. And I'm not scared of Brian Thomas Jr. coming back and proving it. I think that ship has sailed. I think this season they're just going to call it a wash. Parker Washington is hurt. Who knows for how long? And Brenton Strange is the guy who takes some of the heat off of Jacoby in the middle of the field. I think Jacoby Myers is going to have a wonderful end of season.
So since being traded to the Jaguars, Myers has recorded a team high 21% target share. And that's with BTJ. That's with Brenton Strange in the field. That's with Parker Washington. That's with what's that guy? Craig Reynolds, if he's still there, maybe he's out. That's with Travis Etienne catching passes, but Bashal Tutin also getting targets. Like 21% is significant in that offense. And he's looked great. I mean, he put up 15 points, 21 points. He's getting in the end zone. Their playoff schedule is also pretty nice. They got the Jets. They got the Broncos, which if he's up against Surtain, it's more likely Surtain's still going to shadow Brian Thomas. And then they end with Indy, and if Sauce is out, I mean that's a
Mhm,
nice end to
mhm.
schedule there.
I really feel like if you have Jacoby Myers, or if your trade deadline hasn't passed, the Jacoby Myers owner hasn't, like, he had a really disappointing beginning of the season. So people who had Jacoby Myers might be really low on him. He might be someone you can get still. And if you can, I say do it. I'm very strongly about it because Trevor Lawrence in the passing game has looked better since they featured him.
And they traded him. They traded draft capital to get him
Mhm,
midseason. Like the
mhm.
Jaguars are a team. I mean, maybe I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, but I feel like they're a team that doesn't often. I mean, they're often not good, so that's part of it. But they don't often trade for players at the deadline, and they
Yeah, well, and they have this, like, opportunity. They're not far off from the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're looking really good. If they can, string together a win against if they can win against Indianapolis this first week, they have to be favored for the AFC South. Like, the Texans are there too.
they're number one in the AFC South right now.
Yeah, and it's between them, the Colts, and the Texans, which is actually, like, a more interesting race than I think I would have guessed at the beginning of this year. But, like, if this is working, they're gonna keep doing it, and why not, right? And Jacoby Myers is making their red zone offense so much better.
Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful fit, and Liam Cohen is a smart dude. He's gonna keep doing what works. I think Jacoby Myers is someone who is an underrated, not wide receiver 1 on the season, because you can't do that anymore. That ship sailed. Wide receiver 1 for this part of the season for your fantasy playoffs.
I like it. I like it a lot. That's a good pull. Um, my other hot take. So this is just two. These are more just general takes. Oh, also this may be okay. I got three really quick ones. One, this might already Cat might already be out of the bag, but pick up that rookie Andy on the Patriots as your kicker. He's looked nice past few weeks, like
Mhm.
floor of 10 points per game. Like pick him up if you haven't yet. Um,
He's got a really cool piercing too, so
he does. Yeah, I saw that. I was looking at his picture.
he's got the one left ear cross piercing. He's like
Yeah,
throw 80s goth throwback.
this is badass. Um, the other one, this is not a hot take. He's probably not even in their team anymore, but I gotta address it. I think at the end of the year we should do a our hits and misses, like go over our best picks, like me
Mhm.
picking Devontae
Mhm.
Adams, and my biggest miss would be Tony Pollard. And this is probably not a hot take, but just cut him. His playoff schedule sucks, and if you own a Titans player, even if it's Shamir DK and you're a little excited, don't every single Titans player should be on waivers.
I have Tony Pollard on one of my teams that I care
Cut 'em,
about, and
cut 'em.
he just sits on the bench, and I don't even have a RB2. I'm like, do I play Carl Mononga or do I go out and get waivers? And Tony Pollard is on my bench. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not even a consideration. It's not even a thought.
The numb guy 10 out of 10 times.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure. Like, I'm talking about cutting a different player to pick up a running back, and Tony
yeah,
Pollard's sitting there on my bench, not
cut
doing
him.
anything.
Cut him tonight.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I'll do it while we're talking.
and my last hot take, and this is a general one, and I like I said, I've been doing some like playoff predictions and scenarios and stuff, but I really think that the Eagles are going to go 10-7 and miss the playoffs, and I think the Cowboys are going to go 10-6-1 or 10-7-1, 10-6-1 and win the NFC East. Because as you know, the NFC East curse, no one has repeated as a division
Yeah.
favorite since the beginning of this century. And I don't say, I mean, the Eagles, like, again, they've lost against the Bears. They've looked deflated the past few weeks. They didn't fire Kevin Petula. I mean, they're the rest of their schedule, they're probably going to beat the Raiders and split with the Commanders. And that would put them at 10-7. And I really think the Cowboys have a great schedule coming up. And I think the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. Book it.
The Cowboys also seem to be on an upward trajectory right now, especially with the defense looking a little bit better.
Mhm.
Whereas the Eagles are on that downward trajectory. This doesn't shock me at all. I think that the Eagles getting back to form would shock me more.
Yes.
Also, anyone who's outside of the Philadelphia metro saying that they should fire Nick Sirianni is a crazy
So
person. Like,
stupid. So stupid.
just stop, man. He's brought you the Super Bowl. He is clearly a man who can choose the right people. It just doesn't happen all the time.
I think he's got the best. I mean, he's younger, but I think he's got the best career win percentage of any coach in the league right now. So, like, two Super Bowls in 4 years that he's been there. Like, shut up. Yeah.
I just get so mad at some of these some of these fan bases that are like, fire this guy. This year we suck, and it's like 10. You know, like you're angling for a very positive win. I'm like, yeah, you have 3 2-year win two. Okay, anyways, I'm losing it. I'm losing
Okay,
the
that's
thread.
okay. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, yeah, don't.
Throw me out your next hot take.
That's pretty much the end of my hot takes. I was looking at some others. Those are the ones I felt strongest about. Like I wanted to mention is hot takes. I think I got some things like obvious things like I don't cool on George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. I think they're both they could both be top 5 rest of the season. Like I have no reason to like I talked about no reason to cool on this Cowboys offense. The defense is looking much better and the offense is continuing to get great. Uh,
Let me ask you this
yeah.
question. Um, if George Pickens finds out he's going to have the tag used on him next year, you think
Mhm.
there's any chance that that disincentivizes him to play as hard as he has been playing? I'm
God,
asking you to be a therapist for George Pickens right now.
that's a good question. I feel like there's been rumors, and rumors are always rumors, but Jerry Jones is a kind of guy who just wouldn't keep his trap shut and would probably just admit it in the next 2 weeks. Like, oh, we're gonna do this. So,
I've heard that that's what they're planning on doing,
yeah,
and so
and
that worries me a little bit that he's going to be like, wait, you should give me some guaranteed money. You should give me a contract, not just tag me.
I think that if he has any personal relationship with Jerry Jones, he could see Jerry Jones as a senile old man who can be manipulated into changing his mind. So I think he's gonna ball out
Okay.
and try and prove that he needs more than just the tag.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise those offers he's going to get at the end of this year are going to be insane.
I mean,
So
I was reading somewhere like he would be like the biggest like free agency walk if they don't tag him or he refuses to be tagged or something like in like this century for a receiver. Um,
he would for sure get them like a second round comp pick. I don't
oh
know, you
yeah,
can get a first round comp pick, but if you can, even that maybe.
I think you can get second round. I think you can. I don't know, but I don't. I mean, CD, Dak Prescott, Quinn Williams, George Pickens. Can they pay all 4 of those guys?
Ask the Bengals.
That was my first thought. I mean, Quinn Williams is making less or maybe about the same as Trey Hendrickson. Um, but the Cowboys also have Trevon Diggs. He's probably going to get cut. They got Kenny Clark. They got more. They got more contracts than the Bengals. I don't know, man. It would be hard, but they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they tag him next year and then he walks after that because I don't think that Jerry's going to be willing to pay 2 receivers that high, or he's going to do the crazy thing. He's going to trade CeeDee Lamb.
Oh my God, trade.
Which yeah, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like if you remember Amari Cooper hadn't fallen off a cliff yet. And he
Isn't
traded him away.
isn't it funny that the 2 GMs in the league that are also owners of their teams are just don't know what they're doing and they're paying these potentially paying these 2 receivers and putting it all in the offense. The Cowboys and the Bengals are so similar, and it's so funny that they're owners of their GMs. Like it can't be. That's jeez.
They know it sells, I think, and they know it's exciting to watch because that's also what they want as owners is something that sells and is exciting to watch.
It's
And then
true.
they
Yeah,
kind of forget about how to win games. And I think that like once you're like 20 years in as the GM, you got to be a little lost. I
yeah,
don't think this is a role you want the same guy in for this long.
yeah. And they're the guy that makes the decisions. So
Mhm.
it's like they're not going to fire themselves.
No way, no way, and they're always doing a good job if you ask them.
I'm glad Phil Knight never bought the Seahawks and made himself a GM. I'm glad that
Yeah,
wasn't a thing.
yeah, the man, Phil Knight. Okay, no, I don't need to get political on this podcast. Okay,
You got any more hot takes?
um, I this isn't fantasy related. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I've said what I said about Jacoby Myers, but here's my real AFC South take: is that the Texans are going to make the Super Bowl this year.
I think they're going to win the division in a playoff game. I think that if they win, they're going to get the 3 seed that puts them in prime position to play against the Bills. I think they can stomp the Bills. They could beat the Broncos.
I'm full on. That defense is good enough that it could carry them, because even when the offense is just not good, like it was against the Indianapolis Colts, they can still win a team that's been elite.
It's true. And I mean, CJ Stroud has fallen off, but like we've seen him play at like Super Bowl caliber quarterback play.
Hmm,
He's
hmm.
done it.
I and there's no part of me gets like I hope saying that, but just with watching their defense, we talked about this in the preseason. This isn't some shock that their defense is
Mhm.
this good. The defense looked good, and it's been otherworldly.
Yeah, that's what we were saying that this is potential to be like not only the best defense in the league, but like an elite like decade standout defense, and it
Where,
has.
like, where are the holes in this defense? There just aren't any right now.
There's maybe like a little lack of like DT depth, but like starting position wise, that's not.
Like if you get into the playoffs, don't worry too much about depth. It's not going
Yeah,
to matter as much. They're going to just. I watching them, I'm like, wow, it's ugly football. It's not necessarily fun to watch, and I can understand why they're not getting a lot of notoriety. But if this defense keeps clicking the way it is, teams are gonna have a hard time beating them.
Chiefs Texans is going to be nuts this week. Both those teams are in must win, especially the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going up against this defense with that losing Trey Smith, losing Josh Simmons, somebody else. Is it Creed Humphrey? I don't know, but it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it will be. It will be for implications, not necessarily for fantasy. That's going to be a gnarly one for fantasy. There's like, there's going to be a few players you probably want to play in a lot that you don't.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Otherwise, for hot takes.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's see. I wanted to bring up just a few players that were hot button commodities in particular, just to bring them up because this is the playoff time, right? So like you have waivers, but this isn't like stash and forget and see what you have. You can do that a little bit if you're in a good place or maybe if you have a buy. But other than that, you need players who are going to be important and they're going to produce right now. So like their first player, we can just talk about whether or not we believe that they're who we may think they are. And the first player I'm going to talk about is Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, who since he got traded to the Jets, has been open so often, and it has found a way to just be completely wide open over and over and over again, but can't catch the ball for the life of him still.
Until this past week.
Until this past week, where he went against Atlanta, he went 8 for 102 and a touchdown on 12 targets, so he still had 4 misses. And he looked great. He did look great. Now, I don't know, Garrett Wilson, is he coming back at any point this year?
I've heard that it's likely, but not guaranteed.
Yeah, because that's the only. So he's on IR since November 13th. So I would guess that means he is got another week or two on IR at least. But is Adonai Mitchell someone who you can count on going forward if you are headed towards the playoffs?
No. There's John Mechie is also shown some flashes on that team. There's a clearly lacking a wide receiver one, but they just have a bunch of wide receiver threes with like boom weeks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would also like to point out that the Atlanta Falcons have been really bad against wide receiver ones for the last few weeks. I don't know if it's related to injury or not, but Atlanta Falcons seem like a team that you can target right now. If you have a wide receiver one going against the Falcons, you do want to play them because they had Chris Olave go off against them for the Saints. Tet went nuclear against them. And then I can't remember what Pittman did against them, but we got at least 3 weeks in a row. Yeah, like the Falcons seem like a defense that has a clear lack of ability to stop a wide receiver one.
Yeah.
So you had Adonai Mitchell, who actually came out and finally looked good. And that's the only question is, are you chasing points on a matchup that just works out in his favor?
It's hard to say. I mean, let's see. They're playing Jacksonville or it's Miami, Jacksonville, Saints, Patriots. Not a great schedule. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably fade him, but there's potential.
Fair. Okay. So he's someone that I'm willing to pick up even if I need to start him right now, just on the off chance that they saw that and they keep pushing volume towards him. Because he does manage to get open pretty often, and it wasn't even an issue on the Colts of him getting open; it was just him catching the ball. So if he can if by some weird black magic he has figured out how to catch the ball, he could be great. Drops aren't an easy thing to fix, but this is we're gonna go back to Devontae Adams again. That was his issue in his first year of his career. He had so many drops.
First couple of years, yeah.
And would you think that Drop Vontae was a nickname for him now? Absolutely not.
No, especially in the red zone. Jeez.
Yeah.
is also going to point out like college comps, like there's a lot of nuance there. It doesn't matter, but like going into the 24 draft, like Adonai Mitchell was the Texas receiver that everyone was hyping up. There was some
Mhm.
off the field stuff, so Xavier Worthy ended up being the guy that was drafted first round. But leading up to that, mock drafts like Mitchell was going first round until the off the field stuff,
Mhm.
like consistently.
Yeah,
Um,
so
so
he's someone who I would be happy if I got still.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
ha
Especially in dynasty, he's not a guy that like, oh, he could be good because he got drafted early. Like, he's someone that like coming out of college looks like he could be a wide receiver one in the NFL. So
Mhm.
for dynasty, I would love him if he's on your waivers somehow, but I'm indifferent in redraft the rest of the year.
Fair. Devon Bailey, New Orleans Saints wide receiver. Um, he had a phenomenal game last week against Miami, 8 for 93 and a touchdown. And that was on 8 targets, so that's 100% catch rate on his targets.
That's damn.
He has shown, I don't want to say really like full flashes because that kind of gives a bad idea, but he has looked like he could be a competent player when he was with the Broncos a few different times
Hmm.
as a rookie. And one thing that I like about Vele is that he really does catch what's thrown to him, and the team seemed pretty willing to use him as like that mid area target. So he's not just a deep guy. He's not,
He's versatile. Yeah.
Mhm. So Olave, who has been wonderful for the Saints, I believe he may be dealing with an injury right now.
He had a back injury that was had him limited in practice last week, and then he played, and I think he re-aggravated it.
Yeah, it was like back spasms that were messing him up this last week, and he is once again didn't practice this Wednesday. If Vele ends up as their wide receiver one for any period of time, are you interested? And do you think that he can provide a fantasy safe start?
I do. I would rather have Bailey than Adonai Mitchell for sure. Two reasons. One, I mean, the Saints, this regime of the Saints specifically, traded a fourth round pick for him, which is kind of nuts, especially because they didn't really use him much at all. But that was when Spencer Rattler was starting. He's gotten more involved as Shuck has started and gotten better. Also, like I think he's the clear wide receiver two on this team. I think Jawan Johnson, he's had some good moments, but I think it goes Olave and then Vele for sure at this point. And his fantasy schedule is good. Olave is always at risk of getting injured, even in like week to week basis. He's often limited to practice. So all that to say, I think Vele is someone that you could start in if you had to in your playoffs against the Panthers, Jets, and Titans. That's a great schedule.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm definitely interested in Vele as well. I Now if you need him to pick him up and throw him in immediately, that schedule's what tells me you could, and there are absolutely worse options. It is scary though, because Vele is this name that hasn't really popped up anywhere.
Yeah.
I have him on my dynasty team, so I've really liked this guy for a minute, but for no real reason other than on that Broncos, I think in maybe his second game ever, he had like 10 or like 8 or 9 receptions
Something
for.
like that. He was like a very late round pick too.
Like Bo Nix was just like, hey, that's the guy. I'm going to keep throwing it to him. But he can do it. He just hasn't really been given the opportunity. He hasn't been in the right place at the right time. And then New Orleans gave him the opportunity and he produced. And
Here's the
they need people who produce on that team real bad, real bad.
Here's the question. Where did I just? So I was talking about his playoff schedule, but who are they playing this week?
So
Uh,
this week they are going against Tampa Bay.
okay, I mean that's a solid. That's solid. It could be a
Mhm.
shootout. I think that with the buys this week, if you have a Patriots receiver you've been starting, you can't start him. If you've been starting like Wandale Robinson in your flex, can't start him. So Jawan Jennings in your flex can't start him. So he's a good flex play this week if you need a receiver.
Mhm.
I like him. I'd start him.
What I look for with New Orleans right now is how is the opposing team's pass rush. I think that affects their passing game more than anything else, really, because they're Tyler Shook is not particularly good against
The
pressure.
blitz.
Not a lot of quarterbacks are. Yeah, so if they've got a good pass rush, it's going to be rough sleddings. But of course, they went against Miami this last week. They did fine.
Yeah,
Atlanta the week before, he didn't do very well. And Atlanta has a pretty underrated pass rush.
they do. Yeah, they do.
But so Tampa Bay, Carolina, New York Jets.
There's not much pass rush there. No.
No, I think these are good. These are good 3 starts in a row. Okay, we talked about Tesla a little bit. Mike Evans coming back.
Absolutely. I think that there's at least if there's a chance that he plays the last like week 16, 17, that's worth it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, it just is. I mean, he could be coming back injured, but his injury is an injury that isn't inherently going to affect his play.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree. And then this is, of course, like they're not going to get him to 1,000 yards, but they're going to
Could
want to have.
happen.
I mean,
Never say.
if they do, whew, that'd be something. That'd be amazing. Uh, yeah, I guess that's all I really had as far as the hot players coming out because
I,
the running back list I am looking at is not very good.
I have one that he's been off and on waivers, and I think he's just been on waivers since he came back from injury. It's a quarterback that has, I think, an incredible playoff schedule. And
Okay.
even if he was maybe like last week was not on your waivers, he probably is now because he's got a bye. But Brock Purdy, so can't start him this week. But if say you're like a team that your quarterback, maybe you've been streaming quarterbacks or like I don't know who just got injured. Michael Penix for some reason. I don't know, but pick up Brock Purdy. He's got the Titans. He's got the Colts, which could be a good shootout, and then he's got Chicago, which is going to be an awesome game, huge shootout. I think the Niners are like pretty evenly predicted to win between the Colts and the Bears, so that's a shootout. He had a rushing touchdown this week. He looked great, 17 points. I like Brock Purdy as a starting quarterback for me rest of the season.
Brock Purdy has produced pretty well outside of the first game back for injury.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's a solid pick. Even when he didn't have many pieces, he was still producing pretty well. Him and Kyle Shanahan.
just they got
It's a good system with the two
and
of
I did
them.
want to mention him because there's a very good chance he probably was not on waivers for most of the season, but then people just got tired of it. And then he had that stinker of a game coming back, he got dropped. So he's probably not super rostered right now.
Yeah, as someone who is depending on Lamar Jackson, I've been scouring the waivers for a good quarterback. Now Brock Purdy isn't there. I'm gonna throw out like two names that I've thought about just to see if you have any any positive vibes their way.
All right.
Tyrod Taylor.
No.
Okay, so there's nothing there. Um, and this could sound crazy, but Shador Sanders. He scored the
Mm,
exact same points, almost 12.26 and the 12.56. That's called improvement. Now,
how,
I'm
how much is he using? How much? Okay, actually, Tyrod using his legs a bit, and is Shador using his legs a bit?
Shador, not really. He's had a few runs, but not much. Now, Tyrod had 8 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown against Atlanta. 5 carries for 19 yards against Baltimore. So he's rushing the ball.
Okay, but yeah, not enough for me to get excited about either of them.
Yeah, and then what about Bryce Young?
I'd have to look at his schedule. He's just so volatile. I
Yeah,
mean, okay, here I'll say this: if the Panthers beat the Bucks this week, or when do they play?
they're on bye right now. The Panthers are on bye,
Okay,
but
good luck with that, jeez. But okay, if they beat the Bucks week 15, then there's a decent chance that they make the playoffs. And I think Bryce is either going to choke under the pressure or really, really play well. And he seems to play really well as an underdog. So you could do worse. I definitely pick up Bryce Young 10 times out of 10 over Tyrod and Shadur.
yeah, Bryce is such an interesting thing because like the Panthers are going to get tied to him. There's just almost no chance I don't see them resigning
They
him.
all right. So actually, I think they're in a good spot. I think there's rumors they're going to pick up his 5th-year option, which
Yeah,
is great for them. That's a great
yeah.
spot.
I'm it's interesting though because if he comes out and he plays his 5th year the same way, they're gonna end up probably giving him a contract, and then you end up in this Daniel Jones territory where you're like, does this work out or does it not?
Ideally, they don't do that. Ideally, they don't. Ideally, he like shows something next year, and they pay him then, or he isn't great next year, and they bring in a veteran year 5 and like someone who could like start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're telling me that either he shows up really well next year, he's going to be a Cardinals quarterback in 2 years.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, yeah, there's not much out there. Like quarterback, if you can get Brock Purdy, definitely go do it because right around this time of season is where the top quarterbacks are kind of like cementing themselves as the top quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's move on to our picks because I think we're right about that time. Let's start with last week. Willie, if you want to start, you can run through your picks from last week.
Yeah, let's do it. So my nuclear boy, Jamar Chase didn't have that 40-point game I predicted, but coming back from the suspension, 18 points, you know, solid. It's Jamar floor numbers, but he's great. Saquon was not nuclear. The Eagles, the Bears, Bears. Yeah, can talk a lot about that, but yeah, Saquon did not go off. So my nuclear boys are pretty bad. Gas guys, Lamar, nope, nope. Ladd had a pretty good game, and then RJ Harvey definitely had a gassy game. He was pretty gassy, especially late in the game when it really mattered. He had that. I think it was the overtime touchdown or like fourth quarter. I don't know. It was nice. It was nice though.
Yeah, he did. He did great.
Gut check. Christian Watson had a really good game. Watson's interesting because Jaden Reed is probably going to come back next week, and he's been reliably like the most targeted receiver last year, and or basically even like when Watson's been healthy. So it could get interesting. But Watson's like he's the de facto wide receiver one on this team now. Kyle Pitts had a good game. Didn't even score a touchdown, but got like 9 targets, 8 receptions, I believe, or 88 yards. I don't know. He had a good game. And then Trey Benson didn't play. Controversial sits. Daniel Jones did much better than I expected against the Texans. Pretty high scoring game. And then I'm really proud of his take. I said sit Justin Jefferson, and every Vikings player, which includes Will Reichard, and we put up 0 points because the Vikings didn't score at all. Jefferson had one of the worst games of his career. Yeah, every single Viking. I don't think anyone put up more than 5 points.
No, it's like we're saying, you can't go out there and start Brosmer against the Seahawks. Come on, you
No,
killed the guy. Like, if Brosmer had confidence,
it's
it's
gone.
gone. You his career, any potential of it, has just been shut.
Yeah, sad.
I don't know this guy, but like I know they had to because JJ McCarthy got a concussion. But hey, JJ, no, I'm gonna say something that's not fair to anybody. I'll say
Oh,
you got to stay in the game to win, but he had a concussion. You have
yeah.
to sit when you get a
He's got to
concussion.
learn to dodge frying pans. That's all I gotta say.
Him and Jackson Dart need to get together
Yeah,
this
butt heads.
offseason and just like try to dodge each other flying. Like they'll do that tackling from him, the movie, and you're like, yeah, but instead of doing it with your head, you just move out of the way.
Jackson Dart looks like that kind of cool bad boy, and then JJ McCarthy's like his kind of preppy, nerdy twin brother who like follows him around like a puppy dog. And I don't know, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No, I can
yeah,
follow.
yeah,
We're getting like a good 2000s comedy film starring these guys.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
can see
Bryce
it.
Young is JJ's best friend, and they're buddies, and
Sounds like the cast for Cabin in the Woods. If you haven't seen that movie, check it
oh yeah,
out.
yeah.
My last week was it's just okay. It wasn't. I don't. I like
It was kind of stupid. It was kind of stupid.
CD Lamb. I had him as my nuclear boy. He did fine. He did pretty good. He didn't like blow up. It looked like he was going to, and then he didn't. He just kind of did good.
Yeah,
Not bad. George Kill, like 13 points. It's okay.
no, it's not bad.
Gas guys, Juwan Johnson. That sucks. That didn't work out like I wanted it to.
It was Devon Bailey.
Yeah, it was Devon Bailey.
It was a
The
breakout.
right idea, wrong player.
Yeah,
And that's the story of fantasy. So this was a bad pick. Travis Kelsey, he got 15.5. He was
good for him.
important in the primetime game. He did good.
Most watched regular season game of all time, by the way. It
I hate the Chiefs, and I was excited to watch the game. Like
was a great game.
uh, and the Cowboys won.
I
Like yes, I had Rasheed Rice. He scored almost 30, and the Cowboys won. That was the perfect like Thanksgiving game. My gut checks Jaden Higgins 11.5. Okay, not amazing, but you're pretty happy if you plugged him in as a wide receiver 3 or flex. Josh Jacobs 10.1. That was okay. That wasn't great. I really wanted to get Josh Jacobs in there as a gut check. So talk about guts and eating turkey, and
Oh yeah,
he wasn't the one. But then I had Darnell Mooney, and that was awful.
yeah. It was Kyle. It was a Kyle Pitts game. It really
hmm
was.
hmm My sits were Omari and Hampton. He didn't play, so
A
we
great
sat him.
call.
And then Travion Henderson, who had 11 plus, so you didn't really want to sit him. But like with the way the game looked,
Yeah,
through the first 3 quarters, it felt like it was going to be the right call.
yeah.
Uh,
He just got a lucky run or something, like a lucky
he
reception.
just willed himself to actually show that he was better than Ramondre. He's like,
Yeah,
okay, all right. They're gonna keep playing Ramondre unless I do something. And then he's popped off like 3 runs in a row that look amazing.
yeah.
And then
I think if
right
he sat
back in the
him,
fault.
I think if he sat him, you were happy. So I would
Mhm.
count that.
Okay, so let's go into this week. Let's talk about this week. You want to start us off?
Yeah, Nuclear Boys. I want to look up his stats when he played them last time. I mean, and this is a guy that like this team is a very, very, very fringe playoff contender. Um, and they're relying heavily, heavily on the run in this player, and it's working better than it has all season. He was a great draft pick. I was super high on him going into the year. Again, it's Devon Achan against the Jets. When they played the Jets earlier this year, he only put up 17 points, which honestly might be his worst game of this season. Or
He
like up
has
there.
been so good this season, and
So good.
it's not just a fantasy thing. He is this Dolphins team isn't good, and he's looked dominant.
It just yeah, he's just an incredible player. Great pass catcher. Such a safe floor. And the Jets just Bijan put up like 30 something against them this week. So I think Devon Achan can go even higher than Bijan did this past week because it's a divisional game. And the Jets again, they're in that playoff window sort of, and the run is really working. And yeah, he's good. So I think he's going to go nuclear. And then I think just because he's overdue for a nuclear game, and this Rams offense is amazing, and they're going up against the Cardinals, I think Puka. I want Devontae Adams to have a nuclear game because I have him on my team, but I think Puka's due for like a 2 touchdown, like 140-yard, 10 reception game. Like I just think it's time. So I really like Puka this weekend too.
It tracks. Puka hasn't looked bad either. It just hasn't
You know, he
clicked in
just
that way.
he hasn't been scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's Devontae show.
He just needs to score touchdowns from the 30-yard line or further out.
Bingo. Not the
Because
3 yard line.
no, because if they get closer, it's Devonte Adams. They figured it's a cheat code and they just keep going to it.
Yeah.
I like those picks. Okay, so my nuclear boys. First one, come on, like you're gonna play this guy, but he's gonna go nuclear this week, despite not having a great week. Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN.
Little bounce back.
Oh, bounce back. He's going against the Falcons we just talked about. He's gonna just dominate them. It's gonna be disgusting. This is gonna be his second wide receiver 1 week, probably. And
He's
if
still
not, close.
he still has that potential to break the receiving record.
Hmm.
It's there.
And this is gonna be a good week. Like last week, he didn't really do a ton. 2 weeks ago we saw him as a wide receiver 1. This week is gonna be the week that he's gonna do a ton again.
I like it.
I am hoping that T. Higgins plays because T. Higgins is my second choice. So this is the Bengals versus the Bills. Jamar Chase could easily be in here, and if T. Higgins doesn't play, I'll throw Chase in here. But T. Higgins is the guy who I feel is going to be a Chase beater or a Bills beater. Even
Yeah.
I don't have a good reason for T. Higgins over Chase here, except for I feel it in my guts. You know what I mean? This is a T. Higgins game.
He came in clutch last year. I think it was championship week, but I mean this is the playoff clinching week. So him coming in clutch week 14 would make sense.
And like you said, the Bengals still have this off chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like the Bills can put up points, but their defense hasn't really been stopping teams particularly well. I mean, every once in a while, but those are teams that should be stopped.
Yeah.
I have a third pick just because JSN felt like cheating a little bit. George Pickens going against the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions are still going to find a way to score, even if this Cowboys defense has improved.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to score some points, and George Pickens is the guy who's going to do it.
This Lions secondary is also a hella banged up right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it could easily be CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you have to differentiate between the two if you have them on your team. It doesn't matter.
No, I don't either. I think you can start both every week.
100%.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need to score, and both can score easily. So George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, JSN, and T. Higgins. Those are my choices for nuclear boys.
Start all those guys.
Yeah. It's easy peasy with the nuclear boys. If you hear their name, you're probably starting them anyways. But let's move on to the gas guys. What you got, Willie?
Gas guys. So yeah, some guys that I think are going to have particularly good weeks. One is Joe Burrow. I mean, Bengals Bills is always a great game. It's going to be a shootout. Joe Burrow, he's got Chase and hopefully Higgins back for the first time this season, right? No, I guess Higgins played week 1. I think Joe Burrow can easily put up like 3 or 4 passing touchdowns against his Bills defense. I got Brock Bowers going up against the Broncos, but I believe he had a great game against the Broncos the last time they played, and they put up like 10 points. He also he has these like fluctuating weeks where he puts up either 40 or 8, as you know. So I think he's due for like a really good game. I think if the Raiders want any chance of beating the Broncos, which I mean, divisional game, they totally could. I'm going to say it. I think it's spamming Bowers, and Genty's not going to do anything this game. So I like Bowers to start this week. And then my last one, I talked about him already, but Amari and Hampton or Vidal if Hampton's out still. Just because the Herbert injury, I see a lot of checkdowns. I think Trey Lance checkdowns. The run game is going to guide this team into the postseason if the Chargers make it. So starting week 14, we're gonna ramp it up.
That'll be a fun one against the Eagles. If they can run all over the Eagles, that'd be great.
Yeah, good primetime games this week.
Yeah, the Texans Chiefs one is so important to this whole entire playoff.
And the
race.
Cowboys Lions is going to be huge too.
Mm-hmm. Cowboys Lions honestly feels like that should have been a Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, I guess they both played Thanksgiving.
They did, yeah.
I think they played together. I think they played each other last year though.
It's just something about it, like the two blue teams, from like anyway. Okay, my gas guys. Okay, this sounds crazy that I think I'm going out on a limb when I name this guy.
Oh boy.
But gosh, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens is going to have a wonderful game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason why I say he's going to have a wonderful game against the Pittsburgh Steelers is because this is the team that they need to beat. And I know what you said about the Bengals. I think I agree with that for the most part. But right now, the Steelers are the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And if you think that Lamar Jackson has any competitive spirit in him to push through and to try to make a push for the playoffs, this is the game that they've all been looking at. I would almost say that maybe the Bengals game last week was bad because they were looking forward to this game.
I can see that.
That's a lot of heavy lifting. Don't worry. I'm not prescribing that exactly, but I think Lamar Jackson, even if it goes back to bad after this, is going to put everything he has into this game. And this is going to be the week that no one starts him because he's had 3 bad starts in a row and he drops 35 points.
We'll see. I mean, the Steelers seem to have his number, but the Steelers are pretty broken right now. So,
like I said, this is like that playoff game, like this do or die game. Because if they lose to the Steelers right now, they're not gonna be able to get into the playoffs. I think, period, because they're gonna have the negative record against the Steelers. So if they tie with them,
oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so they got it. Yeah,
they got to win.
Good games this week. Good games.
They're important. We're starting to get to these really important games. So they're fun to watch. So I'm saying, hey, I know Lamar sucked. Trust me, I know Lamar has sucked. It has not been fun playing him in your QB slot when you're like, hey, this is my guy. He should get 20 plus points guaranteed. He's scoring 6, 5. It's awful. Don't pivot this week.
Okay. I do want to ask really quick if he puts up like 8 points again this week, are you starting him at all again this season?
No.
Okay.
No, because this is the week where, like I said, if his competitive spirit can't get him through this week, it's not going to get him through the other weeks.
No.
If he loses this week, it's going to be just disheartened. Like, he's still going to play, don't get me wrong, but this is the week to show that, like, hey, this injury, regardless of what it is either 1 healthy or 2, I can play past it.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. My second gas guy, and I'm asking for 2 in a row from this guy, so it's Courtland Sutton of the Denver Broncos. As I discussed a little bit earlier, the Broncos seem to do this thing where they play, Courtland in particular, has 2 games against the Raiders each year. And in one, he plays poorly, and in the other, he blows up. They already had the game where they played poorly against the Raiders. Like, that game stunk. They still won, but that game stunk. This is going to be the game where the passing numbers boost up. Courtland's going to be involved. And, like, at some point, one of these guys in the Broncos is going to recognize that when they throw the ball to Courtland Sutton, the offense moves. And when they throw it to Troy Franklin, it doesn't.
I mean, yeah, Courtland looked really good last week.
Mm-hmm. When they throw the ball to Courtland, it just works. It works. Like, stop getting too smart for yourselves, guys. Like, Bo, you don't have to prove that you can do this without Cortland. Just do it with Cortland.
Mhm.
It's fine. Anyways, this is going to be a good week because the numbers in the past have pointed this out, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, who the
The flip
coach
side.
is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's always worked the same with Cortland Sutton on the Broncos. He does one bad game against the Raiders, one good game against the Raiders. This is the good game. That's astrology for fantasy football, in case you're wondering. And I'm going to give you guys a third. I think Terry McLaurin looked phenomenal last week. They're coming out against the Vikings. This will be a better game for the Vikings because JJ McCarthy is back. But Terry McLaurin is going to do phenomenal again.
He looked healthy again. It looks like he's out of his injury. Yeah.
He was awesome. He was awesome. Like, he looked great. And I think you start him, expect things from him. It's going to be another good week from him.
He looked like the player that I had hyped up beginning of season.
Yeah, yeah. So Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton, Lamar Jackson. Those are my gas guys.
Nice. I like it. Let's see, my first gut check guy here. Where you go? Okay, so this one is just kind of on vibes and just seeing trends and stuff. And it could very much just as well be David Njoku, but I think Harold Fannin Jr. is my gut check start this week. He's trended up, like a little fluctuating, but he's trended up throughout the season, and they're going up against the Titans, who don't have any linebackers. Shadur seems to like his tight ends. I think that Harold Fannin's a solid start. If you got Kittle, if you got who else is even a good tight end that has a bye, Hunter Henry. If you got Hunter Henry, start Harold Fannin. If you can do that, do that. I think I feel safe there. Also, this one is a little bit based on vibes, but also the Mark Andrews payday, and Zay Flowers is in his contract year. He put up a stinker last week, and going off of your narrative of the Ravens and their incentive to win this week and the need to win, they can't just run the ball with Henry. They got to get the passing game involved. It's going to be a close game regardless. I think Zay Flowers is a redemption arc this week. I put him as a gas guy a few weeks ago, and he put up like 1 point. So it's really hit or miss of him. But I think that he saw Andrews getting paid, and he's like, "Hey, I'm eligible for a contract extension. Like, give me the ball this week." And I think it's going to happen. And then my last one, just because he's been trending upward, and I really hope that this Bucks offense is going to be trending upward. I would say Emeka Ibuka is more maybe of a gas guy because you start him regardless. But I think Chris Godwin, I think he's looking better. He's looking healthy. He's getting more involved. I think you can start Chris Godwin this week and expect at least a double-digit game. I'm gonna call it.
Okay, I love it. I did like what I saw of Chris Godwin this week. He looked much better than we had seen him first arrive earlier in the season. He
Yeah,
actually looked like he could play the game.
he should have waited longer to come back. It's almost like they saw him come back and not play as well, so they kept Bucky like out longer. I don't know.
This is the story of Chris Godwin's career at this point. Like, should have came back a little bit later. It would have worked out better for everyone.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, my gut checks. They're nasty. They're nasty. So get ready. My first one, despite the conversation we had earlier, is going to be John Mechie of the New York Jets against the Dolphins, because this John Mechie erasure will not stand. Adonai Mitchell cannot have one game, and then John Mechie gets thrown and relegated to the trash heap. I just think that after the game Adonai Mitchell had, he's going to be treated like the wide receiver one.
Probably.
And John Mechie is maybe not as good of a prospect, but he's not like a terrible prospect himself.
Yeah, I mean, and didn't he like wasn't it like the game before last where he had a touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think John Mechie is going to be a fine start for you this week. And that's not actually to say that Adonai Mitchell is going to be bad this week. I don't believe that. I just think that John Mechie is going to do good. And I'm not talking astronomical numbers here. This is gut check. I'm talking like, 10, 11, 12 points. And you're going to be happy with him in the flex if you're really, really reaching.
All right. I'm smelling a 4.2 points personally, but we'll see.
We will see. We'll see. And then Luther Burden the third. This has been like long in the making. And I think that this game against the Packers defense, of course, is good. We've seen them not look as good in particular times. Luther Burden is that X factor they're going to need. And Ben Johnson knows to keep the offense fresh, keep it ever evolving. keep it a little different each week so you don't know exactly what you're getting. And this is the week that Luther Burden shows up and gets his touchdown.
I love it. I think especially because Burton is so versatile in the run game, they could use a special play and get him like a long run, like like a fake to Manung guy, and then it's actually Burton. He runs for 40 yards. Or like the Packers secondary isn't great, so it's solid, but it's not great. Their strength is their pass rush and their D line. So I could see like Burton, since he's such a deep threat. And also like Williams is I feel like Williams is gonna be more involved in the passing game this week. Just based on what Ben Johnson has said. I like Burton is like the receiver I feel like maybe has the highest upside on the Bears.
That's exactly what it is. And it's just the matchup going against the Packers, and having this number one NFC seed wrapped up at this point. Yeah, I shouldn't say wrapped up because it's not over yet, but having it and that confidence that builds, like we've seen the Lions get weird with it, and we'll see the Bears get weird with it now that they're getting that confidence that they can.
Yeah.
And Luther Burden has looked good. He hasn't blown up yet. And I'm going to say this is the week where we're going to see that blow up, even if it's not, 30 points. It's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to like playing him if you have him in the flex.
I like it. My controversial sits, and honestly, at this point in the season, maybe they're not even controversial. They're just high draft picks that I don't want to play. My first one is DK Metcalf against the Ravens. We talked about this already. I think Kyle Hamilton is back this week. Maybe he was last week.
He was there last week. I don't know how, but he was there.
He was there. And they still have Nate Wiggins and DK. Don't start DK. And then also Ashton Genty against the Raiders, honestly, kind of against the Raiders at this point. Against the Broncos, I mean, tough defense aside, I don't see Genty having the game where, two reasons. I don't see him having the game where Sutton's going to swing and have a great game this game. And I think if the Raiders want to be in it, they're going to spam Bowers and Genty's. I mean, there might be some checkdowns involved, but I wouldn't start him.
No. I 100% agree with you on both ends. I've got DK bench for Chris Rodriguez. It's bad. It's nasty. I don't trust DK at all right now.
So neither does Aaron Rodgers.
No, and he keeps getting these penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct, which is probably going to make his Arthur Smith, I'm sure, hates him at this point.
True.
And Arthur Smith don't care how much they paid you. They don't care what your draft capital is. They don't care who you are. He will bench you for Johnny Smith in a second.
Yeah.
When they traded for Johnny Smith, we should have just seen it as a bad sign for everyone on that team.
We didn't. We tried. We really did. Though. Yeah.
You should have just been like, Arthur Smith wants to replace everyone already.
Remember, like a few months ago when you were excited about DK Metcalf and I was excited about Caleb Johnson. It was like, such good times.
Well, I still think that this offense would be better if they just kept giving him slant targets. Like DK, when he catches a slant, say what else you will about the rest of his game, but when he catches a slant, he is strong and he is fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you were using the talent and you were molding the offense around the talent, you would be giving him these slants so he could just run right at people.
Yeah, and then just make something. I like to at least try it more often
instead of doing like floaters to small Calvin Austin. Whatever. I'm not Aaron Rodgers. He's done it forever. I
do want to say DK is only 27 years old too. It's not like he's over the hill.
They just have to make him the new Michael Thomas.
There you go.
Like don't make it complicated. Run him on a slant every single play. They're gonna know what's happening, but one time they're not gonna look and you're like, oops, he took it to the house.
Yeah.
No, 100% though with your controversial sits. 100%. Okay, my controversial sits. I went for you probably aren't gonna sit these players even if you have them, but I'm gonna make you feel wary about their production. My first one is Nico Collins. I said good things about the Texans, but they're going against the Chiefs. The Texans' top offensive option is easily and clearly Nico Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Spagnuolo loves to take away number one options. He learned that from whatever the Patriots used to do before. And Collins is going to get taken away. The Texans are going to have to learn how to beat the Chiefs a different way. I still think they can. Their defense is strong enough that it really almost doesn't matter what their offense can do. They need to score like 10 points, But Collins ain't it.
Trent McDuffie's also one of the best corners in the league.
Mm-hmm. And so, Jaden Higgins might have a good game, but I wouldn't even really be overly excited about that. But Nico Collins, he's someone who I'd be worried about this week. And then Lad McConkey, because with all of this Herbert injury news, if Herbert does play after getting surgery immediately, that run game or that passing game has to be downgraded.
Yeah.
Like Trey Lance also isn't it, but you can't throw Justin Herbert that fast after surgery and expect me to believe that everything is just fine.
Yeah, especially with so many options on the team. Like Lad has emerged as a number one, but again, it's reactionary. Like Lad is like even like remember like 8 weeks ago he was like totally washed. Everyone was saying so. Like I mean, who knows? Like next week maybe Herbert's in and the passing game's great, but it all goes to Keenan Allen again. Like it's in matchups like especially like one against the Eagles where the Eagles are in must win mode, and they have some decent top secondary options. Like you don't want to trust. There's a lot of factors you don't want to trust Lad.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that two of the wide receivers in the primetime games this week are going to fail you, and that is Nico Collins and Lad McConkey. I recognize you may not be able to sit them. I get it. I'm gonna say be ready. They're not gonna score very much.
I like it.
Okay, so those are our picks. We've talked a lot at everyone who may be listening. Do you have anything else, Willie?
I think this is a great. I mean, I say this a lot, but this is like one of my favorite weeks of matchups this year for sure.
It's so important for fantasy playoffs, and it's so important for real life playoffs that we're seeing like you're making some nasty decisions, but they're real decisions now. This is no more like, hey, just start your studs. This is like, I need points, and I don't care who they are and where they come from.
I want to ask one quick question personally, Nick. Do you think I should start Roma Dunze or Cortland Sutton this week?
This week, Cortland Sutton. I do believe in this
All right.
pattern being for much too long, and at some point, no, I don't believe that they're going to recognize that they need to throw the ball to Cortland Sutton more to make this offense click. But if they're really serious about continuing and trying to get that number one seed and wrest it away from the Patriots, they're gonna have to. And it always works with Cortland. It just is too consistent for them not to figure out eventually, hey, keep doing that until they stop it.
All right. I got my playoff spot locked up, so I can play a little bit. So I think I might start Cortland over Rome. Cortland and Jameson, I think could be pretty fun this week.
Yeah. I really do believe in Cortland this week. Like, and it's not rest of season because I don't know that I trust Bo Nix that much, but this week I'm into it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. All right, sick. Good luck everybody this week who is listening, and doink out.
Doink out.